Islam, Islam, Islamism. Bismillah, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First and foremost, I like to rise to my highest of heights and give all perfect praise to our Father God Allah, acknowledging our ancestors, known and unknown, recognizing and naming all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, and the last prophet in these days and times, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, Noble Drew Ali, in his first, second, and third form. I would like to remain standing and extend those honors to our National Grand Sheikh, Joel Bratton Bey, all national officials at headquarters in Baltimore, Maryland, all sheiks, sheikesses, deputy sheiks, and deputy sheikesses, and all of our friends, visitors, guests, citizens, members, students. I greet you all with Islam. Today's date, for the record, is May 9th, 2021, according to the Gregorian calendar. And as always, we open with paying homage to our Mother, Father, God, Allah. So can I please have everyone who is able to stand erect, facing towards the east, heels together, toes apart, separated at a 45-degree angle, upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular, 5 fingers erect and together on the left, and 2 fingers erect and together on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen. And we'd like to welcome you all to our National Town Hall Educational Forum call being brought to you by the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic. Under the guidance and direction of our National Grand Sheikh, Joel Bratton Bey, I am the moderator for this evening's call. I am Brother Cornelius Sanders Bey, calling out of Lake County, Florida Republic. And I'll be going into our administrative announcements. And the first administrative announcement will be given by myself. On behalf of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, I would like to thank the guests that are on this Moorish National Town Hall meeting for joining us this evening. Our prophet Noble Drew Ali founded the ancient Canaanite temple in 1913 in Essex County, New Jersey. Later, in 1916, his missionary work was entitled The Moorish Divine and National Movement. In 1917, he transferred the movement to Cook County, Illinois. In 1925, the temple was called the Moorish Temple of Science. In 1926, the temple was incorporated as a civic organization. In 1927, the temple was unofficially adopted as the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Our prophet Noble Drew Ali stated that the Negro problem is being solved only as it can, as by the Moorish Divine and National Movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. After lawfully connecting with the private international law of the Pan American Conference in 1928, the temple's name was changed to the Moorish Science Temple of America. The temple was then incorporated as a religious organization under the Illinois Revised Statutes in Cook County, giving the temple and its members national and international power. During this same period of time, unfaithful members of the Moorish Science Temple of America in Chicago and Detroit conspired to destroy the positive existence of the movement, causing great confusion. This is the reason for the misunderstanding of the national side of the movement amongst all Moorish Americans until this very day. Our prophet Noble Drew Ali stated that Chicago is doomed and Detroit must go down for what they did to I, your prophet. Afterwards, in 1929, our prophet Noble Drew Ali made his transition to the plane of soul. Our purpose of establishing this meeting on Sundays is to properly educate people on what the Negro problem really is and to educate people concerning the national side of the movement of our prophet Noble Drew Ali so that you may receive a clear understanding of it. Our prophet Noble Drew Ali also stated, "Come all ye Asiatics of America and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you are not Negroes." In other words, all calling themselves Negroes, Black people, color folk, Afro-American, Latino, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, or any other such names that delude to slavery, you are not these. Your nationality has been taken away from you, and your birthrights have been stolen from you by way of your original birth certificate, social security card, and your state ID/driver's license, which is why clear color copies, both front and back from these, is required from you when applying for Moorish American citizenship as you transform from your lower self to your higher self while working towards your actual freedom and becoming free national Moorish American citizens. You have ignorantly contracted into the jurisdiction of the federal U.S. government corporation. Thus, your nationality is United States. You have surrendered your free national state citizenship by registering yourself voluntarily as a beneficiary of the U.S. government corporation by way of your birth certificate, which is an unrevealed trust account instrument placing you in commerce with the federal U.S. Federal U.S. citizens are not citizens at all. They are subjects and property of the District of Columbia, residents and franchisees of the so-called bankrupt U.S. government corporation under municipal law. The Constitution for the U.S.A., the Bill of Rights, and the 13th Amendment with its 20 sections does not apply to federal U.S. citizens. Federal U.S. citizens are subjects and property under statutory, admiralty, and maritime law, as well as martial law under the undisclosed presumption of an international contract. Federal U.S. citizens have no constitutional protection or unalienable rights. They only have granted privileges by the U.S. government corporation. Legal persons born or naturalized in the federal U.S. were made exclusively by the 14th Amendment after the Civil War. The 14th Amendment was never lawfully ratified and therefore unconstitutional. Our prophet Noble Jew Ali held up the red flag with the five-pointed green star in the center in his right hand. This is our national flag. It is poorly misunderstood as the flag of Morocco. It is properly comprehended as the Moorish flag. He also held up the 48-star flag of the U.S.A. in his left hand. This is our flag of peace, friendship, and commerce within the states of the Union under the Republican form of government in this country. The 50-star flag of the U.S. with gold fringes around it does not represent free national Moorish American citizens. Social Security benefits and the income tax are voluntary contracts made mandatory for federal government employees and U.S. citizens who receive benefits from the federal government corporation. Asiatics are the Aboriginal indigenous inhabitants of America. However, due to the fact that the Asiatic birthrights have been stolen and we have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government, being placed in a chattel property status because of the reorganization of the U.S. with the New Deal in 1933, the Asiatics are now aliens, not to this country, but to all free national governments. We encourage everyone to become a naturalized Moor and register with the Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics in order to become part and parcel of this free national government. In this way, you are under the divine authority of our honorable prophet Noble Jew Ali, being under the jurisdiction of the Emancipation Proclamations of President Abraham Lincoln, inclusive of the 13th Amendment with its 20 sections, and not under federal jurisdiction, making your identity and your nationality Moorish American. The bankruptcy of the United States is a fraud. The Uniform Commercial Code administers this fraudulent bankruptcy. For those who undergo the UCC 1 financing statement and its further paperwork applications become a party to this fraud and disconnect themselves from the divine authority of our honorable prophet Noble Jew Ali, which is the conspiracy of the international banking cartel against us Moorish Americans. Also, having a seat in the United Nations is a trap. This places you under the controls of the cartels of Europe as well. Furthermore, a government that is a democracy is a trick, because this type of government is not of the common people, for the common people, nor by the common people. Educating the masses on these issues in order for the Asiatics to become functionally active is of the utmost importance for the progress and growth of the Moorish divine and national movement. For more information, visit our website, www.MoorishAmericanNationalRepublic.com. During this meeting, we would like our guests to remain muted if you are not speaking. This will prevent background noise coming from you as these calls are being recorded. When you want to speak, press the star button twice to unmute your phone and state your name and where you are calling from. You may submit your questions to our email, townhall@MoorishamericanNationalRepublic.com. So your questions will be answered in the order in which they are received, as the email questions supersede direct questions from the audience. We would like our guests to continue to attend these meetings, and please invite your family members, associates, and friends to attend these meetings. And that will conclude our first administrative announcement. Our next administrative announcement will be coming by way of our national inaugural Sunday school, Moorish Sunday School, and it'll be given by our beloved sister Ariana Sanders Bay. Islam there, beloved. You can press star, and you have the floor.
Islam.
Islam, beloved, loud and clear, and you have the floor.
Islam, this is Sister Ariana Sanders Bay, calling from the Florida Republic. First, I'd like to rise my eyes to high, giving all perfect praise to our Mother, Father, God, Allah, and giving honors to all the true and divine prophets, namely Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, Confucius, and our last prophet in these days and times, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, Noble Drew Ali, in his first, second, and third form. I'd like to extend those honors to our National Grand Sheikh, Joe Bratton Bay, all national officials, all sheikhs, sheikesses, deputy sheikesses, and to all that are on the call, Islam. The Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, expects the presence of all members and invites the public to join us every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Moorish Sunday class conference call. Please join us by calling 443-961-4434. All Moors currently naturalized to the Moorish American National Republic and who have not already done so are requested to forward an email to manrssundayschool@gmail.com. This will confirm your registration and allow you to receive your information packet. Please include the names of all children, their ages, birthdays, and school grades. Also, we are requesting that members send us family pictures for posting on our website. Pictures of Moorish families studying, playing, working, etc., and in unity. This is highly desirable. Please be advised that submission of your photo constitutes your permission to post. To submit your photo, send via email to sundayschool@moorishamericannationalrepublic.com. Again, the Moorish American National Republic Sunday School conference call is at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we invite the public to please join us by calling 443-961-4434. We had an inspiring and thrilled class today. You can listen to today's class at www.MoorishAmericanNationalRepublic.com. We look forward to exercising our five senses together with you, manifesting guidance for our nation. Islam and peace.
Islam. And thank you for that administrative announcement, beloved daughter Angel. Appreciate you much, beloved. Our next administrative announcement will be coming by way of our Moorish School and Law History Board of Education, and it'll be given by our good sister Carla Green Ill. Islam there, beloved sister. You can press star, and you have the floor.
Islam.
Islam, Sister Carla Green Ill, trusting all is well with you and the family. Your vibrations is strong, loud, and clear, and you have the floor.
Islam, and thank you, Brother Cornelius Sanders Bay. Islam family, this is Sister Carla Green Ill from the Masters of Commonwealth. I rise to my highest heights and give all perfect praises to the Mother, Father, God of the universe, Allah. I give honor to all ancestors known and unknown, recognizing and naming all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, and the last prophet in these days and times, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, Noble Drew Allah, in his first, second, and third forms. Extending honor to our National Grand Sheikh, Joe Bratton Bay, all national and local officials, all sheikhs, sheikesses, deputy sheikesses, all of our children, students, members, guests, and citizens. I greet you all with Islam. Please remain muted for this very important announcement. Peace and greetings. The Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, requires from everyone desiring to proclaim their Moorish American nationality to fill out and complete an application for Moorish American citizenship and 3-course registration forms for each of the Moorish law and history courses, which I'll explain later. Many people question, why do we have to fill out paperwork and submit copies of our personal documents? This is the reason. We must know who you are, your background, previous affiliations, work history, physical abilities, education, skills, training, etc. First of all, these documents do not belong to you. They belong to the federal government. So you must remember that in their jurisdiction, you are an artificial corporation under civil rights and granted privileges. Secondly, we require these documents because once you are a free national Moorish American citizen, your file will be in the Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics, which is set up for each natural person. These Moorish documents that you'll be receiving at the time of your naturalization are prepared from these documents. The most important page in the application is the self-audit page. This allows you to make sure you know the appropriate attire to wear during naturalization and are submitting the required documents, fees, and photos. The documents must be clear-colored copies for clarity and authenticity. The photos must be passport size. We use the photos for your nationality and ID card. Please have your national and religious headdress on and write your name on the back of the photos. The application process is reviewed each week because applications are received in the National Registrar's Office either with incomplete applications, no photos, or no documents. If a question on the application does not apply to you, place N/A, not applicable. This lets us know that you did read the question but did not omit it. We must read and follow instructions and learn to ask questions if we do not comprehend what is being said. The second part of the process is enrolling into the Moorish School of Law and History by registering for the 3 courses with the following completed forms. 1. A warning from the Prophet class form. 2. Be it known class form. 3. Nationality and ID card class form. 4. Course rules and agreement form. Visit our website, www.moorishamericannationalrepublic.com, and download the application and registration forms. These forms will have the full instructions, requirements, and prerequisites for the classes. Also, mail with your application an updated copy of your resume. You are not paying for your nationality. Your nationality is free of charge. You are paying for the cost of enrolling in the Moorish School of Law and History, just as one pays tuition when enrolling into a college or a university. The costs are also directed to the application processes of the preparation of your documents, as you'll receive these once you've completed the courses. It takes finances to raise a nation, and it takes finances to maintain and operate an educational forum. This concludes the administrative announcement by way of the Moorish School of Law and History. I return the floor to the moderator. Islam and peace.
Islam. And thank you for that administrative announcement, our good sister Carla Green Ill. Appreciate you much, beloved. Our next administrative announcement will be coming by way of our good brother Michael Simpson Ill Jr. with our warning. Islam there, beloved brother, you can press star, and you have the floor.
Islam there, good brother Sanders Bay, can you hear me?
Islam there, good brother Michael Simpson L. Jr. I can hear you loud and clear. Trusting all is well with you and the family. Your vibrations is loud and clear. You have the floor.
All is truly well with me and the family. All is truly well with you and the family.
Indeed. Giving thanks, beloved. You have the floor.
Thank you much, Mo man. Much honor and gratitude. Brother Michael Simpson Hill Jr., calling out of Wayne County, Michigan Republic. First, I'd like to rise to my highest heights, giving all perfect praise to our Mother, Father, God, Allah, to all our ancestors, spoken and unspoken, naming and honoring all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, and Confucius, and our last prophet in these days and times, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, our great Redeemer, Noble Juali, in his first, second, and third form. Also like to extend those honors to our headquarters, Baltimore, Maryland, Temple number 13, our National Grand Sheik, Joel Bratton Bay, to all our national officials, sheiks, sheikesses, deputy sheiks, and deputy sheikesses, and to all our family, friends, guests, citizens, members, and to our illustrious future, our children, I greet you all with Islam. Also want to send a special shout out to all our Mobiduses around the world for their contributions as being mothers and wives. Islam. This administrative announcement is coming by way of our Sergeant at Arms Administration. Warning, if any persons, groups, or companies claiming to represent the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, in any way and offering to sell you such things as the application for Moorish American citizenship, naturalization paperwork, nationalization paperwork, trust documents with the Moorish American National Republic's logos, passports, diplomatic appointments, diplomatic papers, diplomatic motor vehicle license plates, driver's licenses, titles of nobility, doctorates or other educational titles, business banking licenses, tax shelters, tax identification cards, or the likeness of any of these, please contact the Moorish National Bureau of Investigation at area code 410-501-7301. I repeat, area code 410-501-7301. Immediately. Violators will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The members and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, are not sovereign citizens, nor Moorish nationals. The Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic is not, I repeat, is not a sovereign citizens movement. This administrative announcement comes by way of our Solicitor General, National Grand Sheik, Joel Bratton Bay. And that concludes the reading of this administrative announcement. Islam, that good brother Sanders Bay, the floor is yours. Islam?
Islam. And thank you for that administrative announcement. Our good brother Michael Simpson L. Jr. Appreciate you much, beloved. Our next administrative announcement will be coming by way of our Deputy Sheikess, Alyssa Thomas Bay, with our caveat emptor. Islam, that beloved sister, you can press ***, and you have the floor.
Islam, brother, all is well.
Islam, Deputy Sheikess, Alyssa Thomas Bay, all is truly well. Trusting all is well with you and the family as well. And your vibrations is loud and clear, and you have the floor.
Giving thanks, brother. Islam, this is Deputy Sheikess Alyssa Thomas Bay calling out of the New York Kings County Republic. First, I'd like to rise. I give all perfect praises to Allah, all of the divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. Our prophet in these days and time, Prophet Noble Drali, our National Grand Sheik Joe Bratton Bay, all of our national officials, all of our sheiks, sheikesses, deputy sheiks, deputy sheikesses, members, citizens, students, and guests. I greet you all with Islam. Notice to the public, let the buyer beware. Caveat emptor, Moors are men upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain nor unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such realm. They try, but their own bad plan and bring down wrath upon their heads like the sword old Damocles had. Intrigue and scurrilous cunnings find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by Prophet Noble Drali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. Prophet Noble Drew Ali notes the people within his ranks who are interested. They are vanguard of the movement as the Moorish hordes increase here in America. All the Moors are active, not passive, and members' interest can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the road years before the prophet knows where every member is along the road. A few feet below is another road where schemers walk, where traders grin, and culprits bask in the sun. They think they are on the same road with the true Moors, but the Moors are high above on the pinnacle where they might be the destructionists as they fall for the last time and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers flying high catch scent, devour, and leave crying out, caveat emptor, cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above see these plotters, pervious the worst that exists, hurl themselves downward by their own works as the hawks await. By Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic, advise the public with the words of the warning written by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The caveat emptor article message is the same today in 2021 as when written in 1928. We have been contacted by various natural persons who have sent funds to individuals and organizations. Said funds paying for various documents. Said individuals and organizations have no affiliation with the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic. Be hereby advised, the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic, does not sell documents of any type. Again, we do not sell documents. Again, be hereby notified that said individuals and organizations have no affiliation with our organization, the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic. Some of said organizations have mirrored names which read closely to ours. Therefore, pay close attention to who it is you are sending your funds as the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic, carries no liability for funds sent to these individuals and organizations. There may be others, yet the three listed I'm about to list repeatedly been cited by those natural persons as the parties to whom funds were sent under the guise of sending said funds to our organization. RV Bay Publications, the Moorish National Republic, the federal government, the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World, the Moorish Science Temple of America, and the Bureau of Moorish Affairs, Moorish State University. We will update this list as necessary. Trustee, the public is advised. Let the buyer beware. That concludes my administrative announcement. I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and all the women in the world that's doing their part in uplifting foreign humanity and raising up these children. Islamic peace. I return the floor to moderator.
Islam. And thank you for that administrative announcement, our Deputy Sheikess Alyssa Thomas Bay. Appreciate you much, beloved. Our next administrative announcements will be coming by way of our good sister Norma Solomon Ill with our National Holy Night Conference call and our Sisters Auxiliary call. Islam, there, beloved sister, you can press star, and you have the floor.
Islam.
Islam, Sister Norma Solomon Ill. Vibrations are strong and loud and clear. Trusting all is well with you and the family, and you have the floor.
Islam, praise Allah, all is truly well with me and the family. Praise Allah that all is well with you as well as with all the other announcers before me. Islam to the family. This is Sister Norma Solomon Ill, calling out of the Bronx County in the New York Republic. First and foremost, I rise to my highest heights, giving all perfect praise and the highest honor to Allah, the Mother, Father, God of the universe. I give honors to all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, Confucius, and to our illustrious Hebrew prophet in this new era of time, the illustrious Noble Drew Ali. in its first, second, and third form. I remain standing, I remain standing, giving high honors to our National Grand Sheik, Joel Bratton Bey, to all of our grand body, to all of our officials, both nationally and locally, to all of our sheikesses, our sheiks, our deputy sheikesses, to our deputy sheiks, to all of our citizens, members, students, children, and any guests that may be on the call this evening, I greet all in and with Islam. The first announcement is coming by way of our National Holy Night Conference call. Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Islam, all Muslims, the public is invited to join our National Holy Night Conference call Friday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. If you live in an area without a meeting, or you are unable to attend your local Holy Night meeting, our National Holy Night Conference call is here for you. We invite the public and all members to join our National Holy Night Conference call at 443-961-4434 every Friday as we celebrate the closing of one creation and the opening of the next. Come give thanks to your creatress, creator, and exercise your five senses, celebrating and commemorating the divine unity of Holy Night. 443-961-4434 every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. See you at our Holy Night meeting. The next administrative announcement is coming by way of our sister auxiliary, Islam. The Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, is delighted to announce our upcoming conference call dedicated to the uplift of Moabitist members of this divine and national movement under the leadership of our National Grand Sheik, Joel Bratton Bey, and the nobles of our grand body. Our conference call's purpose is to create a network system amongst our feminine energy, showcasing the array of talents we, the sisters in this body, have to offer. We are calling on every sister in our organization to heed this call, partake in this uplifting act, and be an active spoke in the wheel of this Moorish Republic. Come and familiarize yourself with your sisters and reap the benefits of membership of this national body that is committed to bring about the positive change necessary to facilitate the uplifting of fallen humanity. We encourage our sisters to get involved and support this demonstration. The Moorish American National Republic Sisters Auxiliary is requesting the help and support of all our brothers and sisters to donate to our fundraising Life Pen and Tag Day celebration demonstration. Show pride in your movement and support the Sisters Auxiliary as we assist in the uplifting of fallen humanity by donating $1 for a life pen, $3 for a tag, and $5 for a magnet. All three are designed to inspire, unite, and encourage dialogue about this great movement and our illustrious Hebrew prophet, Noble Drew Ali. This Moorish regalia can be viewed on our website, www.moorishamericannationalrepublic.com. Simply, under the Resources tab, go to the Sister Auxiliary option and view the regalia. Any member wishing to order regalia or any sister willing to join the Sister Auxiliary, please send an email to sisterauxiliary13@gmail.com. That's SISTERAUXILIARY13@gmail.com. Please make note of your request in the subject line, whether it is membership, life pins, tags, or magnets. Please give your contact information, including your email address and phone number. Our next meeting will be held on May the 27th of 2021, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That concludes the administrative announcements coming from the Sister Auxiliary and our National Holy Night Conference Call. I turn the floor back over to the moderator. Islam and peace.
Islam. And thank you for those administrative announcements. Our good sister Norma Solomon Ill. Appreciate you much, beloved. At this time, if there's any announcements from any of our national officials, you can press star, and you have the floor.
Islam.
Islam, Divine Minister, trusting all is well with you. It's a pleasure to hear your vibration, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Brother Sanders Day. We're receiving refuge in the name of Allah, giving praises to Allah, honors to all divine prophets, honors to our messenger, nationality, birthright, divine creed, Prophet Noble Ali. Honors to my brother, sister Adams, deputy officers, members, visitors, guests on the call this evening in Islam. Very brief announcement just to say, most of us probably are not aware and may not even know, but the sister, she is Sandra Arshi Fresh Bay, one of the founding members of our temple, founded in terms of one of the founding mothers in terms of the one of the first 13 officers to be made in this temple. Sister Ashi Fresh Bay remarried, and Sister Ashi Stock Bay transitioned over this past few days, over this past creation. And we just want to call her name in this particular platform to give honor to her. She was part of she was there at the founding of the Moorish School of Law and History. She was active in the building of this temple. So although you may not know her, we call her name now, give her honor for the work she did to help build that platform that we have now that we enjoy, that we call the Moorish School of Law and History. So our sister, Shika Zashi Fresh Bay, Ashi Scott Bay, we thank you for your work. And Allah, from Allah do we come, to Allah do we return. May Allah have mercy on your soul, giving thanks and praises to Allah for your presence, the time you spent with us, Sister Fresh Bay, Shika's Fresh Bay. Giving thanks. But that's my announcement for the evening, Brother Sanders Day. Thank you for the time, Warm, and I return the floor to you. Islam.
Islam, Divine Minister, and appreciate you and thank you much for that announcement. And yes, we do give honors to the beloved sister, always, always, always. Islam. All right. If there's any announcements from any of our national officials at this time, you can press star, and you have the floor. Islam. Well, we can get started with our questions for this evening. At this present moment, it is 8:08 p.m., and we have a total of 25 lines on the call. We'd like to thank you all for your presence and your energies, because you could have been anywhere this evening, but you're here with us, and we definitely appreciate you for your presence and your energies, and we're going to get into these questions and get some dialogue going. Islam. Our first question on the floor this evening reads, what can be done to stop the brands Moorish Americans have applied to them in the mass media? Islam, you can press star, state your name and where you're calling from. What can be done to stop the brands Moorish Americans have applied to them in the mass media? Islam? A very pointed question. what can be done to stop the brands Moorish Americans have applied to them?
Islam.
Islam.
Islam is Brother Marquis Johnson Bay out of the Oregon Republic.
Islam, my good brother, you have the floor.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you much. First, I'd like to rise to my highest heights and give an all-perfect praise to Father God Allah, and also the prophets, Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, and Confucius, and last but not least, our honorable prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Also, I'd like to give honors to all the sheiks and sheikesses around the world, and honors to our national Grand Sheik, Bill Bratton Bay, and our sheikess, Sister Bellamy Bay, and Sister Cherry Hill, etc. Can you run that question by me one more time, Mo? Real quick.
Indeed. The question reads, what can be done to stop the brands Moorish Americans have applied to them in the mass media? Islam?
Islam. Okay. It appears that I really don't think anything can be done because the European is just going to do what the Europeans do. But what we can do is, we can set the trend. We should have our own news stations, our own radio stations, and our own media. As many of us know, we have our own media platform, abstractvisions.live. You can get on there and create your own news station, your own radio station, or just create your own podcast. But we have to stop following the Negro, and we have to stop following the European. We have to set the trend. They have to see us in action, and they have to see us controlling our own media if we want something to change as far as what's going on in the media. The Chinese have their own media outlets and sources. South Americans have their own media outlets and sources. Mexico has their own media outlet and sources, and so does the Europeans. So why not us? So this platform that we have going right now is the first of its kind for us Moors. You can upload videos, you can live stream videos, you can live stream your own radio station or news station, and we also have Zoom capabilities on the platform. With that being said, I think we should all take advantage of it and use it to its fullest potential. And like I said, we should set the trend and stop following the Negro because they're on a loop right now. It's protest, get shot, go protest, get shot, protest. Music, the music is not what it used to be. And with that being said, I'll put it here to have my name say peace.
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration, our good brother Marquis Johnson Bay. Appreciate you much, beloved. Islam. Got the ball started, got us rolling. Brother gave a good demonstration. At this time, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, or anyone I would like to add on to, the floor is now open. You can press star. Islam, Deputy Sheikah Alyssa Thomas Bay, you have the floor.
Islam, this is Deputy Sheikah Alyssa Thomas Bay. I'm re-rising to my highest heights, giving all perfect praises to Allah, all of our divine prophets, our National Grand Sheik Joe Bratton Bay, Prophet Noble Ali, and everyone on the call tonight. I greet you over Islam. I just want to say, excellent demonstration that was given by the brother. He's absolutely right and correct. At the end of the day, you can't stop somebody from doing anything. You can't even control your children sometimes, especially when they get older. So we have to start focusing on what we can control, what we do have the power to create, and what we can put into fruition to produce some type of change or awareness to what it is that we feel is the right message that needs to be pumped across the board. So the brother's absolutely right. Creating our own media outlets, showing positive images of what's right and exact for our people to see. A lot of that deals with research. You always have to research your audience. You have to research brothers and sisters to find out why it is that they go after trends, why it is that they want to follow and brands and slogans and everything else. And a lot of times Our people are looking for an outlet. They're looking for anything that's going to produce some type of change because they say everything I've done so far has not gotten me anywhere, or they're just confused. So anything that comes along and they think that it makes sense and it's a fad and it feels good and they think that they're doing the right thing, our people are quick to jump on it because they just want answers. We have to become the answers that people are seeking. You know, we have to be able to target these people in a positive way so they can realize that everything that we're offering is what they need for their salvation. Remember, people need answers to their problems. They need solutions to their dilemmas. And we have to always produce information that show them that we do have the solution by coming through our temple, by not labeling ourselves Negro, Black, and Colored and everything else, because the question makes sense. A lot of Moorish Americans is not, okay, they got down that, oh, I'm not Negro, Black, and Colored, but they have all type of subtitles and subdivision stuff. It's very confusing to a lot of people, and people can get distracted and strayed away. That's why we just have to continue to hold down our fort, hold our line, continue to call these calls, continue to answer these questions, no matter how repetitive they might be at times. Be clear and concise, be able to give references, and to always be an example of the change that you would like to see produced in our atmosphere. You know, it starts with your thoughts, then your actions, and you become everything that you talk or say. So we have to work on self, and then we have to really pay attention to what it is that we want to put out there. Become the change that we seek. Create the change that we want to see. And with that, I like to say Islam and peace.
Islam. Beautiful demonstration by Deputy Sheikah Alyssa Thomas Bay. Appreciate you much, beloved. You know, we love when our sisters demonstrate, showing that balance. You know, we definitely need you, and that energy and everything you said was on point and brought it full circle. Islam. At this time, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, or anyone that would like to add on to what has already been stated, the floor is now open. You can press star, state your name and where you're calling from. You had some beautiful demonstrations, our good brother, and our sister. Islam, my good brother.
This is Brother Marquise Johnson Bay again. First, let me I want to re-rise to my highest heights and give all perfect praise to the Father God Allah and the prophets Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, and Confucius, and all the sheiks and sheikesses across the world, and our sheiks and deputy sheiks in the temple. Islam. I also want to reiterate and come back on the sister that if we can look back at what the European did in 1851 when they created the New York Times. And when they created the New York Times, that was when they really, really, really got a hold on the people because everybody started to follow their literature and their media outlet. And then that's when they really, really got going as a people, I guess, so to say. They had a media source, so they used that to promote their businesses, and they used that to kind of control the people, whether it was in New York or Chicago Tribune or whatever have you. But when they created their newspaper outlets or their media sources, that's when they really, really gained some momentum. So with that being said, we can look at us creating our own media source as a learning curve to kind of, kind of back on what Sister said, like target those audiences. And we just got to make sure that we're not following the Negro, but that they're following us.
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful add-on, our good brother, Marquise Johnson Bay. Appreciate you much, beloved. Islam. At this time, if there's anyone who has any questions, comments, concerns, or anyone that would like to add on to what has already been stated, the floor is now open. You can press star, state your name and where you're calling from. Had some beautiful demonstrations on the floor. Definitely beautiful, especially when our sisters demonstrate and our brothers is all on point. Everything's on point. Islam. Well, if we don't have any questions, comments, and concerns, and no one wants to add on to what has already been stated, I will move on to our next question that's on the floor. Islam? Islam. All right. Our second question on the floor for this evening reads, so-called white slavery was left out of the American slave, his story of the Civil War days, leaving the Negro to bear the blunt burdens of slavery. Do the so-called white people of these United States know that they too are slaves in America today? The only difference is one is abused physically and financially, while the other is abused financially. Islam? You can press star, state your name and where you're calling from. So-called white slavery.
Islam.
Islam, Deputy Sheikis, you have the floor.
Islam, this is Deputy Sheikis Alyssa Thomas Bay, re-rising to my highest height. This is how I answer that question. We all know, dealing with slavery, our people were indentured servitude, and the quote-unquote European was the actual original slaves, the Slavic people. That's where it comes from. Now, a lot of people are aware of this, and there are some people that's unaware of this. There's some of our people that are not even aware that, quote-unquote, Europeans were, they were slaves fighting for their so-called freedom in the Civil War. So it's very possible there's a lot of people that are still not aware of that. But there are a lot of people that are clearly aware of that, especially more of the people that are predominantly, I would say they consider themselves lower class, like very poor. A lot of quote-unquote Europeans in the 1670s and the 80s, I remember reading about it in college, how they would protest when people would accuse them of being either racist or being oppressors, and their argument would be, no, it wasn't my ancestors. My ancestors were slaves. It wasn't us. Go talk to somebody else, because they were able to trace back a little bit further than people are tracing back to kind of figure out who their ancestors were, or to pinpoint that their ancestors were actual slaves. So a lot of them are very aware of that. And there's some that know it, but they don't care because they have privileges. They have a lot of privileges, and they're treated better because of their shade, their status, their how they are politically centered and structured. A lot of them are middle class, quote unquote rich. So they're going to use that as a defense mechanism to always feel like, no, I'm not this, I'm not that, it's you. I'm living better than you. Whether it's illusion or it's temporary, they still feel like they have a better piece of the pie based on who they think they are historically and how they look and how they are positioned in society. So don't think for one second they don't know. They do know. It's just that because they have a lot of privileges and they're getting away with a lot of things because they are who they are, they're going to try to make you think that they don't know, but they do know. And I had several conversations with a lot of them based on certain books I would be reading on the train while I'm going to work or when I have on my turban, and people will strike a conversation with you. They will strike a conversation with you, and they will get into history, and they will admit a lot of things to you. They might not to their friends or their family members, but they will admit a lot of things to you because they know you already know. So there are some people really, they're not aware of it because even our people are not aware of that side of history, a lot of our people. But believe me, a lot of them are. It's just that they get treated better, so they don't have to admit to it. They don't have to acknowledge it. So I just wanted to say that. Islam and peace.
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration and getting the ball started and getting us rolling. Deputy Sheikis Alyssa Thomas Bay, appreciate you much, beloved. And yes, you are very correct about that. But at this time, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, or anyone that would like to add on, Islam Deputy Sheikh.
Islam, brother. Thanks a lot. Can you hear me pretty well?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, cool, great. So I'm inside a department store, so if you hear any elevator music playing, that's what it is. So bear with it for a minute. I'll be brief. So first of all, I want to rise to my highest heights and give praise to Allah, the great God of the universe, who is almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible, the universal governor of this world seen and worlds that are unseen. I give honor to John the Harbinger, also known to us as the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, both harbinger and forerunner to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to all true and divine prophets, naming Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, and Confucius. Honor to all you brothers and sisters on the call tonight, our National Grand Sheikh, Brother Joe Bratton Bay. I extend those honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali in the first, second, and third form, Islam. Let me just look over this question right quick. I'm assuming, I'm just coming on, so-called white slavery was left out. Is that the question, Brother Sanders Bay?
Islam, would you like me to read the question to you?
Yeah, please, thanks.
Islam. So the question reads, so-called white slavery was left out of the American slave history of the Civil War days, leaving the Negro to bear the blunt burdens of slavery. Do the so-called white people of these United States know that they too are slaves in America today? The only difference is one is abused physically and financially, while the other is abused financially. Islam?
Islam?
Islam, did you hear me?
Yes, sir, I heard you. All right, cool. So, yeah, this is actually a pretty good question on the floor tonight. I like it myself. You know, history has been silent on the subject matter of so-called white slavery. And it has been silent on the subject matter because of the false promotion and ideology of so-called white supremacy. You see, one of the skills and talents that the pale-skinned nations of Europe have developed and have seemed to have really mastered, it is that they're very skillful through the lens of their corporate media and how they portray other people while at the same time protecting their image. And this is why, Morris, we see a lot of reports on the news that pertains to us killing each other, raping each other, fighting each other, beating up on each other, whether it be us, Arabs, Muslims, bombs, Mexican cartels. You know, everyone gets a bad rap from the power of their media and their corporate lens, except for them. You can't find too many of their stories being told on the late night news about the hell they put themselves through. But how you know they're protecting their image is when you turn on your television and you see them with shows like Snapped, Killer Couples, you know, all these so-called white killing shows they got running on a cable network 24/7. Sometimes the shows of them killing each other for insurance money, how they poison each other. They be running 25/8, and you can watch these shows for like 3, 4, 5 months on end, and they won't even skip a show. And some of their crimes against each other go back to the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. But you don't hear about these crimes on the late night news. You hear about the crimes years after they didn't happen, 5 years after, 10 years after. See? And this is because they have skillfully controlled the narrative of who the criminal in society is, but and who the menace to society is. They made movies about us, didn't they? Sugar Hill, New Jack City, Boys in the Hood, menace to society. But they never told you who Menace One Society was. That's the one that's still propagating the lie that they're all loving and divine. Meanwhile, you look all over the planet Earth, and there they are, the true living skunk of the field, the true living beast on two. We must at times expose them for their filth, debauchery, and their lies they continue to perpetrate while trying to expose us to the light of day for a condition they put us in, whether it was through the slave institution or the de facto laws that came thereafter. Nonetheless, they are just as much slaves as they think we are. The National Grand Sheik, Brother Joe Bratton, he says the 14th article of amendment made niggas out of everybody. And by them trying to enslave us, they've only enslaved themselves. The Prophet Noble Jew Ali, he taught very similarly and said that every nation has suffered slavery. And one of my specialties on such topics are military conquest, historical and ancient military conquest. And there's been slavery going on since they've been on the face of our earth. And a lot of them was enslaving each other as well. But the person, the brother or sister who put the who put the question on the floor tonight, I understand they was right and exact, because it seems as if though the modern day burden is put upon us when the word slavery comes up, because people are thinking about what they saw, 100-something years ago, give or take. They don't understand the hidden hand of political slavery. They don't understand that when poverty is instituted in certain areas or in certain residencies, that these are the same principles that delude to slavery even when they was in chains, when our people was in chains. So slavery is ongoing and continuous. Praise Almighty God Allah. We have the mindset and the ability to withstand and fight this system, to fight this beast, fight this no good, capital BAS, etc., because they are eternal oppressors, repressors, and suppressors. And how they do this thing, they're skillful. They make sure they hide the iron hand in a velvet glove. So yes, slavery is an ongoing issue, whether it's political, economical, financial. It has reared its ugly head in practically every institution of life in 2021. So we shouldn't psychologically rock ourselves to sleep to thinking that the ball game is over. No, sir. Paul Robeson, one of our greats, he said that the battlefield is everywhere. We got to fight everywhere we go and everywhere we stand. And with the help of Almighty God Allah, leading on, and victory is for surely sure, we will prevail against this bestial system. I yield the floor, Brother Cornelius Sanders Bay. You know my style. Peace.
Islam. Thank you for that beautiful demonstration, Deputy Sheikh Roy Bay. Appreciate you much, beloved. Islam. At this time,
Islam, my family.
Islam Sheikh Orton Bay, you have the floor.
Islam. Was someone else trying to come through?
Nope, that was just you.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you, beloved. Islam Moors. This is your brother and Sheikh Isaiah Orton Bay, calling out of Wayne County, Michigan Republic. First and foremost, I'd like to rise to my highest heights, give all perfect praise to our Mother, Father, God of the universe, whom we Moors refer to as Allah, remaining standing and extending those honors to all of our ancestors, known and unknown, naming, recognizing all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, Confucius, our last prophet in these last days and times, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, the Honorable Prophet Noble Jew Allah, first, second, and third form, remaining standing, extending those honors to our National Grand Sheik, who's directing and leading us to a victory assured, also under that great will of Allah, all of our staff, our sheiks, sheikesses, deputy sheikesses, our citizens, members, students, family, friends, associates. I greet you all with the universal greeting of Islam, Islam, Islam. Beautiful commentary by our good sisters, Deputy Sheikess Thomas Bay, our good brother, Deputy Sheik Roy Bay. Just to add on to, and again, what was shared In reference to the question, I I was trying to see where the question was at, but I'll just go into a dialogue with what's already been stated. So basically, do the Europeans know that they are slaves too? Well, in these days and time, I mean, it's been so hidden and unknown. And again, people have been living a lie for many generations, as our prophet teaches us. Our good brother, Deputy Sheik Roy Bey, just demonstrated in reference to the 14th Amendment. So, like I said, if the 14th Amendment is unconstitutional, and this is the only law that they have on the books for anyone to become a citizen, then outside of that, that means everyone is in a de facto status. All right. So, yes, the Europeans are in the same boat. However, I'll go a little bit to say, as our good brother Deputy Sheik stated, every nation has witnessed slavery. The only issue is that we, the Asiatics here in North America, we never have been compensated for the injuries pertaining to our nation. Every other nation has witnessed slavery, as our good brother stated. Once we start to get into the history of words and looking into words, not assuming, not believing the accepted condition that we've accepted what slavery is, but just starting with the root word, slavery. You have root words, you have suffixes, you have prefixes. The root word of slave is Slav, Yugoslavians, Eastern Europe. These are your original slaves. We, the Moorish Americans, were prisoners of war. The ongoing wars, wars that's been going on since the beginning of time, the Muslims versus the Christians. If we go back deep enough to the Punic Wars, up to the wars of Port-au-Prince, up into the civil wars here in the United States, the American Revolutionary War, this is what it was all about. Those that choose to side with the Moors, the Muslims, and those who choose to side with the Christians. These are these ongoing wars. So stemming back, because the questionnaire spoke about the Civil War period. It's a lot of movies out there also that will give you more in-depth information and a different visual from what we've been accepted to teach. I mean, what we've been taught to accept. So when we look at things such as the so-called indentured servant, that was their way of showing you what? A different type of class. Look up racial profiling, Moors. You want to say something about a second-class citizen. What is that second-class citizen? That 14th Amendment, chattel property, the all caps, the corporate person, you, which been created within their system. However, when we go back into that time frame of the Civil War, check out movies like it's a season called Hell on Wheels. They give you a perspective going back to the time of 1865 to be exact. But you see the Frenchmen, you see the Chinamen, everybody just coming out of the grips of slavery, working hand in hand on the railroads because they're going westward. They're trying to expand the nation westward. So it's about building the railroads. Everybody trying to get a jock on the railroad, the greedy Europeans and everything. But you got the Asiatics, you got the French, you got the Dutch, you got the German, all of them side by side. You got another show on Hulu called Fargo, taking you to the 1940s, 50s, dealing with Bumpy Johnson. The Italians didn't like the Spaniard. The Spaniard didn't like the French. The French didn't like the Dutch. So we can see how we've accepted this European psychology. These mafia movies, you've seen it. The Italians blowing each other up. Hey, it's not personal. It's business. So the class of citizens is what is key. See, there has been a different class established. And the class that's been established differentiate, like our sister demonstrated. Yeah, they're under the 14th Amendment. Yeah, they're property as well. But guess what? The places have been traded due to how they're classified according to their status, their classification as a so-called citizen. They're under the white status. They're getting the privileges, the immunities of citizenship. Whereas we, our people that's under that black class, we're not getting those privileges. We're going to continue to see those demonstrations and examples that our good brother Deputy Sheikh Roy Bay stated. So again, we are abused mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, politically, socially, religiously. So it's just not abuse physically and financially. Those are the two things we see. But we have to get deeper within ourselves, like our good brother Marquise Johnson Bay stated. We have to start to change our own character. We have to start to form different processes to protect our mental sanity. We have to learn how to raise up that Kundalini energy and leave that lower self at bay and rise up to the higher self, divine and national. Once we start to correct our character, once we start to correct our morals, once we start to put the proper things into perspective, now we can work on that national side. Now that light is going to emanate differently. People are going to see that, like our sister was demonstrating. They're going to feel that energy, that vibration, that frequency coming off you. So yes, every nation has witnessed slavery, but every nation has been compensated, except for us. So the question is, what are we going to do in order to do what we need to do to get our compensation? That's the question. It's not about the European. It's about when are we going to get our act together and learn about this beautiful divine foundation that has been established so we can enjoy the pursuit of happiness and have that paradise here on earth. The original slave is the European. You are a person held as a slave. You are a prisoner of war. And this war is still going on to this day until we change our status and do what the things that's necessary to become true American citizens. Then we can start to worry about the compensations, the order of operations, naturalization, colonization, and then compensation. And with that, I'll put a period behind my statement. Yield the floor back to you, my good brother Sanders Bay. Peace.
Islam. And definitely appreciate you. And that was a beautiful demonstration and add-on, Sheikh Orton Bay. Indeed. At this time, if there's anyone who has any questions, comments, concerns, or anyone that would like to add on to what has already been stated, the floor is now open. You can press star, state your name and where you're calling from.
Islam.
Beautiful. Islam, Deputy Sheikh Makal Bay, you have the floor.
Give thanks. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ever giving perfect praise from my highest sights to the great God of Allah, and honoring all his true and divine prophets, seen, unseen, known, unknown, and reincarnated, and to our illustrious Hebrew prophet in these days and time, Prophet Noble U.S.A, extending those honors to our national Grand Sheikh George Breton Bay, and to officials in Baltimore and other republics, to our children, family, yes, visitors on the call. Shout out to Marcus Messiah, God of the Forerunner, and to the ancient spirit that guide us through these turbulent times. Just wanna read Little document I got here pertaining to the question on the floor. It says, speaking about white slavery, the first slaves imported into the American colonies were 100 white children in 1619, 4 months before the arrival of the first shipment of black slaves. Many were brought from Ireland, where the law held that it was no more sin to kill an Irishman than a dog or any other brute. King James II, followed by Charles I and Oliver Cromwell, sold over 500,000 Irish Catholics into slavery throughout the 1600s into plantation in the West Indies, islands of Antigua, Montserrat, Jamaica, Barbados, as well as Virginia and New England. Irish slaves were less expensive than African and treated with much more cruelty and death. In the 17th century, from 1600 to 1699, there were many more Irish sold as slaves than Africans. There are records of Irish slaves well into the 18th century. Many made it off the ships, according to a record. In at least one incident, 132 slaves, men, women, and children, were dumped overboard to drown because ship supply were running low. They were drowned because the insurance would pay for the accident, but not if the slaves were allowed to starve. And another piece, in that 1619, this is 1676, there was a huge slave rebellion in Virginia. Black and white slaves from Ireland, black and white slaves from Ireland burned Jamestown to the ground. Hundreds died. The planters feared a recurrence. Their solution was to divide the races against each other. They instilled a sense of superiority in their white slaves and declared, and the great slaves were given new rights. Their masters could not whip them naked without court order, etc. White slaves, whose daily condition was no different from that of the blacks, were taught that they belonged to a superior people. The races were given different clothing. Living quarters were segregated for the first time, but the whites were still slaves. Some things never change. So I said that to say this. 14th Amendment, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the states wherein they reside. So, the all persons that the 14th Amendment suggests is the European and Moorish Slavs that were held in America during that time. So, and I met up with some firemen in my mom's building a couple years ago and tend to ask them their nationality. I did not get an answer. They did not know it was the 14th Amendment. With that stated, I return the floor to the moderator. Islam and peace. Praying we got some clarity. Islam.
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration, Deputy Sheikh Makabe. Appreciate you much, beloved. Islam. At this time, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, or anyone that would like to add on to what has already been stated, the floor is now open. You can press star, state your name and where you're calling from.
Islam.
Islam, good brother, Mainstream Gray Bay 44, you have the floor.
Islam, thank you much, my good brother. All is well.
All is truly well. Trusting all is truly well with you, and you have the floor.
Thank you much indeed. All is truly well. Islam family, This is your brother, Mainstream Gray Bay 44, and I'm calling out of the Massachusetts Commonwealth. First and foremost, I'd like to rise to my highest heights, give all perfect praise to our Mother, Father, God, Allah. I'd like to remain standing and extend honors to all true and divine prophets, known and unknown, naming and recognizing Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, Confucius, and to our last prophet in these days and times, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, Noble Drew Ali, in his first, second, and third form. Remaining standing, and I extend those honors to our National Grand Chief, Joe Bratton Bay, to all our national officials in Baltimore, Maryland, to all our chiefesses, deputy chiefesses, and to all our family, friends, and our Moors on the call. I greet you all in and with Islam. I have this book, and I think everybody should get it. It's called They Were White and They Were Slaves. And I'm just going to read a little bit out of the introduction. And it says, there were of two sorts. First, such as were brought over by masters of ships to be sold as servants, such as we call them, my dear, says she, but they are more properly called slaves. This is a history of white people that has never been told in any coherent form, largely because most modern historians have, for reasons of politics or psychologic, refused to recognize white slaves in early America as just that. Today, not a tear is shed for the suffering of millions of our own enslaved forefathers. 200 years of white slavery in America has been most completely obliterated from the collective memory of the American people. Who wants to be reminded that half, perhaps as many as 2/3 of the original American colonies came here not of their own free will, but kidnapped, shanghaied, impressed, duped, beguiled, and yes, enchained? We tend to gloss over it. We prefer to forget the whole sorry chapter is out of another book. It says, a correction understanding of the authentic history of the enslavement of whites in America could have profound consequences for the future of the races. We cannot be sure that the position of the earliest Americans differed markedly from that of the white indentured servants. The debate has considerable significance for the interpretation of race relation in American history. Most of the books on white labor in early America are titled with words like white indentured servitude, white bond servants, white servants, etc. It is interesting that white people who were bound to a condition of what became, in many cases, permanent chattel slavery unto death and not referred to as slaves by establishment economics. With the massive concentration of educational and media resources on the Negro experience of slavery, this unspoken assumption has been that only blacks have been enslaved to any degree or magnitude worthy of study or memorial. The historical record revealed that this is not the case. However, white people have been sold as slaves for centuries. And that came out of the book, What They Were White and They Were Slaves. And I return the floor to you, my good brother, Sanders Bay, Islam, and peace.
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration, our good brother, Mainstream Gray Bay 44. Appreciate you much, beloved. Islam. At this time, if there's anyone who has any questions, comments, concerns, or would like to add on to what has already been stated, the floor is now open. You can press star, state your name and where you're calling from. Some beautiful dialogue going on here. Definitely, everyone's demonstration is definitely on point, and I trust that everyone is getting a bird's eye view of it, because and just to touch on a little bit and add on what was said, And it's true. It's some of them do know about it. I had spoken with a brother. You know, his family, his roots was from Ireland. And when I started talking about the slavery, he said he already knew. And you know, when the white slaves arrived in Charleston, South Carolina from Ireland, our people would crowd around them and pretend they were going to buy them. The Irish would cry to the white people, "Oh masters, old jewels, don't let the blackamoors buy us at all." So, you know, like the saying goes, history's been told foul. But you know, um, in order to keep a people suppressed and oppressed, the origins of if their origins is not known, then they can't know the origins of the other people. Don't want it to be known, because it's a fact is history repeats itself. And there's the you know the the Europeans are not gonna um you know advocate or narrate and give that up because of the fear of going back under the rule of us from the first place, which is told through all history. With George Washington writing the letters that he wrote, and paying the money and sending the money to stop them from getting kidnapped and hijacked on the seas, on the waters, because we control the seven seas. So it's definitely a fact, and it's not told, and it's hidden, because you got to remember, they gotta uphold their position, which their position is false, which is under illusion. And that's no different than someone knowing somebody and them just having a piece of your jewelry, and you don't know where it's at, but they know where it's at the whole time. So that's just like you know having something that you had it, but you just don't have it, but you don't know where it's at. So it's the same way when it comes to us and them with this whole situation. But as was stated before, by enslaving us, they enslaved themselves. And the same de facto law that we're under, they're under the same thing. But a lot of them don't know, and then there's a lot of them that do know. There's some of them that don't care, and there's some of them that do care. So I mean, it's it's a coming upon us that the only way out of it for them and for us is through the doorway of the divine authority of our honorable prophet noble Jew Ali. Because just as we fell from the constitutional laws of the government, they did too. So, with that being said, I'm going to put a period behind my demonstration and commentary. And if there's no further demonstrations or any questions or comments or concerns, I will begin to you know, yield the floor and get ready to bring our National Grand Sheik on. But at this time, I'll leave the floor open for any questions, comments, concerns, or anyone that would like to add on to. Islam, you can press star, state your name and where you're calling from.
Islam.
Islam, Sheikh Calvin Green, ill. You have the floor.
Islam. I trust everything you and your family, everything is all right.
All is truly well, Sheikh Calvin Green, ill, and I trust all is well with you and the family, and you have the floor.
Islam. I'm going to make it short and all of too, because I don't want to get into Grand Sheik's time and all of too. I'm going to make it brief and clear. ABCs. Brief and clear. I just want to say his story is a lie agreed upon. Our story, which is a mystery, my story, is the true mystery of our story. And I'll leave it with that. Islam.
Islam. And thank you, our good Sheikh Calvin Green, ill. Appreciate you much, beloved.
Islam.
All right. At this time, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, or anyone would like to add on to, the floor is now open. You can press star, state your name and where you're calling from. Islam. Well, at this present time, the time is now 8:59. We have a total of 36 lines on the call. At this time, I would like everyone to mute your lines and remain muted as I introduce and bring to the floor the National Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13. The Moorish American National Republic is none other than my brother, your brother, our brother, the National Grand Sheik Joel Bratton Bey. Islam, their National Grand, you can press star, star, and you have the floor and bring us home. Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Thank you, my noble brother. Well, once again, we're all coming together to discuss some issues and concerns that's applying to all of us in our journeys of life. And praising Allah for us having these conference calls so we can lay some things on the table so we can connect the dots pertaining to the mystery of law and history and the mystery surrounding us as a people. So without further ado, as always, I want to rise to my highest height and giving all my love, yes indeed, can't rise high enough to give my love to our God Allah, truly I love dearly, and giving all honor to our ancestors, those that we speak of and those that we don't. They're so much a part of us, innocents, and around us, and they're definitely there for us. Giving honor to all of the divine prophets, namely Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, and Confucius, and our most illustrious Hebrew prophet is none other than the Honorable Prophet Noble Jew Ali, who is truly, most definitely, our Savior as well as our Redeemer. Giving honor to all of the Moorish staff and officials who I greatly appreciate, and all of our members, and all of you noble brothers and sisters who's on this call this afternoon or this evening. I greet you in love, Islam. Well, here we are, Mose, discussing these issues. And it's all about knowing nowadays, and so many of us talk about what we think, feel, or believe, but now it's time for us to really get to know. And that's why I have to always give thanks to Allah for bringing us together so we can bring our spokes to the wheel and discuss the issues that pertain to us as a people. And this is truly an issue pertaining to these questions that we need to address. So, my noble brother, let's hear this last question.
Islam, National Grand. Our latter question reads, so-called white slavery was left out of American Slave, his story of the Civil War days, leaving the Negro to bear the blunt burdens of slavery. Do the so-called white people of these United States know that they too are slaves in America today? The only difference is one is abused physically and financially, while the other is abused financially. Islam?
Islam, thank you, Mo. Well, before I proceed, I want to thank our noble brothers and sisters, for really giving an excellent demonstration on these questions. And, I just feel proud to be so much a part of all of you. Really, I do. Well, and camelbacking and to brother, our noble brother, Mainstream Gray Bay 44, the book that he emphasized and read from about this slavery. I just want to get the definition of it so we can really see how it affects us all the people, whether you're Asiatic or European. And the word slavery in the 5th edition Black's Law reads as such. It says, the condition of a slave, that civil relation in which one man has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Then it indicates the 13th Amendment, abolish slavery. So, as Deputy Sheik Roy Bay has stated, that 14th Amendment made slaves, continuous slaves, niggas, slave, however you want to put it, but it's still slavery out of all of us. Whether you're Asiatic or European. But see, most of the time when we hear the term European, we automatically think of the so-called white folks. But we are the original Europeans, but I'm going to get into that about this slavery with the Europeans. But nevertheless, we can see the importance of what this question represents, and we need to open our minds in such a vast arena to see how it all affects us in our everyday living. Now, remember, President Trump said that just because you're born here, that don't make you a citizen, and the 14th Amendment was never ratified. And we know this whole slavery thing is based on law. And as was stated, slavery has always existed for some point in time, even during the time of Abraham. But it wasn't like the type of slavery that we have encountered here in this Western Hemisphere. But as we know, the 13th Amendment made us forever free. So why aren't we free? Because I've stated on many occasions, law governs all events, the seen as well as the unseen. This is the unseen portion of law that we all must get to know. So the laws in question is what we're going to deal with to a degree. And I want to share some information first regarding what mainstream Gray Bay 44 was talking about, the book that he was reading from. I have 5 pictures of European children as well as adults picking cotton in the fields, looking all grubby, their clothing attire shabby. They had their bags, different these flop hats on, and they're in the fields picking cotton. But see, they don't depict that in society. What you see on the plantation in these fields are us. And this was given the definition about the slob and all of these things that they don't make us aware of, because see, with the sweep of a pen, they've changed everything. And these people are masters when it comes down to that. So let me share some information about man that control your habits control you. It has been a travesty in reference to history and a lot of things, and government, and especially how it applies to us. So I want to read some excerpts from the book, The 13 Black Colonies, because they got us thinking that when you say the colonists, you're automatically looking at the so-called pale-skinned nations of Europe, and I can see why the prophet specified the pale-skinned nations of Europe. We founded Europe. We were there thousands of years, over 40,000 years. But yet they don't tell you this history. So let me just share some things so we can be clear about the so-called, well, I ain't gonna say so-called, but the European colonists that was sent here to set up the colonies here in North America. Now, the brother author Lee Cummings, he called me a couple of weeks ago, and we have a pretty good relationship, and we discussed certain things. I even had 3 conversations with Horace Butler, the author of the book, When Rocks Cry Out, and both of them did agree that if I wanted them to attend one of our ceremonies, they would be more than glad to come. So I told him that at some time in the future, trusting that will be a great event to have one or either or both of them attending. So I just want to say that because I do speak to a lot of folks. And it's all about the teachings of the prophet and who we are. So anyway, one of the books that he has, that's Lee Cummings, The 13 Black Colonies, and check this. It says that we are taught in the classroom that slavery existed in the 13 colonies. But that's impossible. And why he's saying that is this. There was a council of Westminster in the year 1102 that was held in London that ruled, and this council ruled, and the peculiar institution of slavery was illegal. They didn't condone slavery, people. Let me continue. The English Magna Carta of 1215 held that all men have the right to liberty. And by that being so, there was a case in England in 1569 in which a Russian by the name of Cartwright was seen beating his slave. And he was arrested and brought before the courts and tried. And that particular court of England ruled that the institution of slavery is not recognized in England. So now they don't teach us this history now. Continuing. And the reason cited was for all of these cases and laws is to prep us, for the truth that slavery was not recognized in England. But now check this. Here we come in. So now I'm just doing the descriptive word in the book. Now we know black is an adjective, so he's describing the more. Black or more. So we're going to use the term black as that descriptive word, which is the adjective just to describe us. That's how he have it in the book. The black Scottish Stuart kings wrote in each charter that the laws of the colonies must be consistent with those in England. And this is the reason why there was no slavery in the original 13 colonies. The first king, this Moorish king, to break the Magna Carta was King George II in 1752. And he was a Scot. He was not a Scot. He was a black German. Now, Benjamin Franklin said that the Germans were swarty. Now, when you're swarty, that means you're dark complected. And in 1751, which was 19 years after the founding of Georgia. Now, let me go into another section here so we can get very clear on exactly what's taking place and how this man played us. Now, see, we don't know that the original founders were 4 black Scottish kings and 1 black German king. And let me put this on your mind, and this is not coming from the book, this is me talking. Now, when you deal with Masonry, you have the York Rite and the Scottish Rite. Scottish Rite is more prevalent than the York Rite. So now you can see when I got familiar, I can see now where all these degrees coming from, because it's still our degrees. All the Masonry is still more science. But now you see these rites, Scottish, York, they were all Moors. And they was initiating these degrees. Okay, let me continue now. So when we encounter these names, our names, and check this out. Now, I have a document called the Ancient Surname Bay. And this correlates with what I'm going to get ready to share with you. It says the secret to surnames, last names now, in medieval Europe is that the people named themselves after persons, places, and things. For instance, If the person was named MacDonald, it means the son of Donald. If the person named Philemon means the son of Don. If the person named Thompson means son of Tom. And Jefferson means son of Jeff. So the black Scottish kings named themselves after Jacob of the Bible and traced their lineage backwards to the prince of Judah, Brutus of Troy, Parea. So I wanted to just bring that to your attention so we can see how the game is being played. So we think when we hear the colonists, we automatically think that they were so-called white folks. And then, see, it makes sense, though, when you really peel the skin off of everything. If we ruled Europe to close to 1,000 years and we were the house of the nobles and what I just made reference to explains exactly why these names are what they are. So, getting back to the history, now even King James, they hated pork. No. They didn't want to have nothing to do with pork. And these were the Scottish kings. And even the term Scotland was coined after a Moorish queen, Scotia. So all of this, just like Europe, Europa. So you can see the presence of us all through the continent. But yet, we don't know. I'm not going to get into how that word Scotland became such, because that's going to take me a little bit off of the question. But I will say this, that the kings of Scotland, Ireland, Britain are truly descendants of Judah. And then the question is, how did they arrive in Europe? So, in order to solve the riddle, we must follow the footsteps of Judah, two grandsons, Paul and Dara. When you go into the First Chronicles and the Second Chronicles, verse 1 to 6, well, according to the ancient historian Josephus, Paul left Egypt and founded the city of Athens, but had to return to Egypt after killing a man and after assisting one of the pharaohs in his fight against the Ethiopians. Gaither, the son of Kakar, was given the hand of the pharaoh's daughter, Skata, in marriage. And after living 7 years in Egypt, Gaither fled the land at the onset of the plagues and traveled westward to Spain. I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to continue to read this. I just want to saturate your mind a little bit with this history so we can see how this man, with the sweep of a pen, twisted everything dealing with history, especially when it pertains to us. So let's get back to the question. But I would recommend people that we get that book, these books by Lee Cummings. They have a series of books, very informative, good information, and it will help resolve some of the dogma, well, not dogma, but the mystery surrounding the history when it comes to the Europeans. Because as was stated, we had a lot of slaves, and as Sister Deputy Sheikah Alyssa Thomas, they was talking about indentured servants. They were us. And see, when they use the term white, we automatically give it a pigmentation. But we are the true white people, because white means purity, purity means God, God means rule of land, the status. That's why when we deal with 1787, the Continental Convention, when it was 35 Moors, white men, from Anglo-Saxon, white men. And this piece I was telling you about, the ancient surname Bay, oh, I'm going to share that one day. I've done it some time ago, but then it all correlates with what Mr. Cummings have in this book about how we were dominant in everything, even when it came down to the presidents back then. All this was in this particular document called the ancient surname Bay, because it stipulates that a lot of your congressional folks, presidents, were all Moors. All Moors. But a lot of them were light olives, but nevertheless, they were still Moors. So let's deal with this question again. Now, we have to understand that this history there, this history there, during the Civil War period, we had over 90,000 of us fighting for the South because we owned slaves. We were slave holders. They're not going to give you this history. And we didn't want to give them up. So even dealing with the foundation of the government, when you deal with the Free National Constitution, the 1808 clause, see, it was agreed upon. When you read the 1808 clause, it says they allowed us 20 years to continue with the importation of slaves, but by the year 1808, it was to cease. No more importation, no migration of slavery. But the Moors, as well as the other slaveholders, the pale-skinned nations too, were reaping huge profits off the slave trade. So they continued it on, and that's what also brought about the Civil War, you see. But they ain't going to let us know this particular sweet history, how it all applies to us. So we have a very intricate role in so many things in government and life, but yet they whitewashed the characters and taught us what they wanted us to know to keep the lie going. And by that being the case, we have been subjected to one of the greatest lies on the planet, and it's all about us and how we're classified and identified. So when relating back to this question, that the so-called white people of these United States know that they too are slaves, yes, and especially in America today. Now check it now. They stated in this question that the only difference is one is abused physically and financially. Now you know that's the Asiatics. While the other is abused financially. So as I stated earlier, Mose, man, this is all about slavery now. Because we're corporate slaves. Corporate. And that's because the two constitutions that we don't know about, they teach us the falsehood, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. They don't teach us the organic or the free national constitution. So let's see what's taking place. Well, I have to read again, which I read at our law and history class last week, the Mandel House, Colonel Mandel House, Edward Mandel House demonstration with President Woodrow Wilson. Because this is going to explain how the law, the unseen law, has made us all slaves in this country. Here we go. Colonel Edward Mandel House. His attributed was given a special detailed outline of the plan. Man, they always plan it, but Allah is the best of planners. That's why He had to send us our prophets, because His plan overshadowed them, and that's why the prophet had to be divinely prepared and sent to break the Roman seal pertaining to what I'm getting ready to share. So here we go. It says that their plan when they got together, it was very detailed outline of the plans to be implemented to enslave the American people. And all this was created in a private meeting with Woodrow Wilson. He was the president, 1913, 1921. And you see the timeline, right? You know what happened in 1913. Our prophet made us hollow. Come all ye Asiatics and hear the truth about your nationality and birthright, taking us back to 1863. From 1863 to 1913 is 50 years when you subtract it. Relating back to that Levitical code, ye shall hallow within the 50th year, proclaim liberty throughout all the land to all the inhabitants thereof, and shall be a duty unto you to do what to return every man into his family and his possessions, right? So by the year 1900, as we know, we should have been naturalized, colonized, and compensated. So they had a grace period. Prophet come on the scene, 1913. So he laid the foundation. Because you know in 1913, the Federal Reserve, a lot of things were taking place. Prophet was in the midst. So the prophet was setting up his foundation to resolve the issue. So by 1928, he declared a new era of time. Their time was out. And see, when they didn't fulfill their obligation of the divine constitutional contract, which supersedes all contracts, which is the Emancipation Proclamation, and when they didn't fulfill their contract by the year 1900, they lost their mandate. That's why the prophet's authority is so great. So let me continue so we can see what really took place. And check this. And this is all about slavery now. Very soon, every American, they're not specifying who's who, they just said every American will be required to register their biological property, and that's you and your children there, in a national system designed to keep track of the people, and that will operate under the ancient system of pledging. Now we know the Uniform Commercial Code, which is the UCC, is what they're talking about. Because the UCC is only the ancient Babylonian slave codes. That's all it is. In modern time, but it's the same format. And it also stipulates that it's going to be presented or established in a national system designed to keep track of the people, and that will operate under the ancient system of pledging. By such methodology, we can compel people to submit to our agenda. And you see how they sit around and strategize, and that's what we need to be doing, sitting around strategize on how we're going to get out of this mess with the law that supersedes them. But yet we don't want to do that. So let me continue. And this agenda, which will affect our security as a chargeback for our fiat paper currency, I'm going to emphasize again, every American will be forced to register or suffer being able to work and earn a living. And they will be our chattels, which is property. And we will hold the security interest over them forever. And how are they going to do that? By operating of the law merchant under the scheme of secured transactions. Now, the Americans, by unknowingly or unwittingly delivering the bills of lading, which is your birth certificate, to us, will be rendered bankrupt and insolvent and secured by their pledges. And they will be stripped of their rights and given a commercial value designed to make us a profit. Now, you see what's going on in society right now? They call it a pandemic, but it's really a planned pandemic. It's a plan. All ties back to all of this. What I'm reading, really, it does. Just think about it, Moses. Now, remember, the man that controls your habits controls you, and how everything is being controlled is through what? The law. This shadow government, fictitious, corrupt, de facto government. Law. Don't they make these bogus laws to strip your rights away? Okay, let me continue. And they will be none the wiser for not one man in the millions. And that's when the prophet comes in, because he was that man in the million to come in and with the vision of the 7 eyes of Allah, seeing everything. Allah said, oh no, I got you people. I'm going to send my prophet to you strip you of that whole foundation of fraud by bringing the prophet to us and establishing his divine authority. And that's why the Dingwall brothers had to come into the picture to set up the Moorish Bureau of Vice Statistics dealing with your birth certificate to nullify this. But yet, you don't want to see this point of view. So let me continue. So not one man in a million could figure out our plans. And if by accident one or two should figure it out, we have in our arsenal plausible deniability. And you know, these people always lie about stuff. They didn't know, oh, yes, so they're going to, you know, when the campaign come around to, you know, to be a representative, they're going to give you everything you want to hear. But once they get in office and then you see how corrupt and fraudulent things are, then they deny it. So that's plausible deniability. And after all, this is the only logical way to fund government. So you see how the government is being funded, right? We working, doing all of these things, paying taxes. And they're using your birth certificate as a bond, selling it all around the world on Wall Street, all these things. So let me continue. And they are doing this by floating liens. And you know people get liened all the time, and the debts to the registrants in the form of benefits and privileges. So, and these benefits and privileges, this will be inevitably reap us huge profits beyond our wildest expectations and leave every American as a contributor to this fraud. So that whether you're Asiatic or European, you in the mix. But as stated by the question, when it comes to us, we are physically and financially abused. But the so-called whites are only abused financially. But now we're all in the barrel. We're on a sinking ship. We're all in the ocean without a paddle. But there's a God, Allah, who loves us. Well, here we go. So they said this fraud that we're talking about, we will call it social insurance. And, you know, we're all waiting for the stimulus and Social Security, you know, and we get laid off, and, you know, we're waiting for the check, the unemployment check. All this is tied into social insurance. And then they says this, without realizing it, every American, and that's why you see everybody crying right now. White folks, everybody crying. What's going on? They're taking our rights away. They enslaving us. They want to take our, according to the Second Amendment, we can bear farms. They want to strip that. All these things, you know, they plan in there to really bury us into slavery. So it says every American will unknowingly be our servant, however, begrudgingly, and the people will become helpless and without any hope for their redemption. And we can see that what's going on now. Do we have any hope when we're looking at how things are being perpetrated in society? Is hope there? And even dealing with the hope, do we have redemption? It says, without any hope for their redemption, and we will employ the high office, which is the president. So now, people, why do you think the presidents, whatever president it may be, have been, always go to the Queen, meet with the Queen, then meet with the Pope? They the three. I can get into that one. I will, so we can see the connection in a minute, dealing with the two constitutions. And the president, he's running the dummy corporation to format this plot against America. So how that is, and what's coming about is that, dealing with the two constitutions. See, here it is. Let me just bring this in, and I'll be putting closure to this. Is this. With the passage of the 1871 Act, a city-state, a state within the state. Now, we're a nation state. We are. We're a nation state. But the three things that make a nation is territory, people, and laws. We're a nation state. And that's why them two symbols on that dollar bill, one government with two jurisdictions. Pyramid to the left, we the creditors and they the debtors. On a $1 bill, because we was first. The royal house, the house of the gods. That's what the pyramid represents. So let me continue. So this state within the state is called the District of Columbia, located on a 10 square mile land in the heart of Washington, D.C., and was formed with its own flag and its own independent constitution, which is the United States of America's secret second constitution. The flag of Washington, District of Columbia, has 3 red stars, each symbolizing a city-state within 3 city empires. Now remember, everything is in threes, right? 1865, 1868, 1871. All pertaining. Now, we were free in 1865. They started utilizing the plan in 1868 with the 14th Amendment. Put closure to it in 1871 when all the states became corporate. So each symbolizing the city-state within the 3 city empire. The 3 city empire consists of Washington, D.C. The D.C. stands for the District of Columbia, the City of London Corporation, and the Vatican City State, which is the City of London Corporation and is the corporate center of the 3 city-states and controls the world. That's why I said earlier, President, the Queen, the Vatican, the Pope. So I'm going to stop there. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. So now, our prophet come on the scene, and he comes in with the warning. He come in with the warning. And see, that's why he made reference to the fact that in the warning that, let me get to it. When he said money doesn't make a man, it's a free national standard, and power that makes a man in the nation. And the wealth of all the national governments, gold, silver, and commerce belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship by name and principle, you have no true wealth. So when President Trump said just because you're born here, that don't make you a citizen, and the 14th Amendment was never ratified. So now, when the Supreme Court declared it unconstitutional and declared it void, so that means everything under it is unconstitutional, has no validity in government whatsoever. So can you see the importance of why we have to step in to save the nation? This is the only way out of your slavery. Because by the prophet giving us his warning, and when he says the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitutions, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirable and are subject to all the free names, abuses, and mistreatment that the citizens can bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of the free national government, cling to the names and principles that allude to slavery. So then that ties us back to what is called physically and financially abuse. Takes you right back to this particular paragraph. When the question emphasizes, why is it that we are abused physically and financially? We, specifying that. So the answer to the question is in the one in the first paragraph. I just read it with us, right? So you can see how the Creator played the game with them. Because we was never to know this. We was never to get the solution. You know, all around the country, people trying to find a way to get from under this man's yoke. Really. Trying to find a way. But being at the man that controls the educational process, they have never been taught this intricate detail about government Constitution and law. They haven't. That's why we're so blessed with the gift of understanding of Allah to be on this page. So we got the question and the answer to it all. So you see how important this is, people, that we are here, and why it's so vital that we internalize the Prophet's instructions. Think about it. Really think about it. Look at all what's taking place in society, worldwide. Look at it. Look at this picture. See the wrong that's there. And see what you have that's so right to straighten it out. The whole world is waiting for us here in the West, because the light is in the West. But we are dim, but we don't want to come together to show the brightness that we have of truth. And we're going to continue to be punished if we don't do what is right. Our prophet has given us divine instructions, not ordinary words, divine instructions to eliminate the problem. Because, see, what we don't understand is whatever means, ways and means of us doing anything in this man's society, we still going according to what? His laws. So if he's in control of his laws, do you think he's going to allow you to do anything to circumvent what he's giving you in law? You got to come with another process, another system of rights for the people. That's where we come in. You know, our prophet used to say to us, you all are afraid of the man who's afraid of him. They were afraid of the prophet. They are afraid of us when we come right. See, they know we right, but they know we are scattered. So they're going to continue, to play the game. That's why in unity there's strength. Yes, divided we fall. And look at it. We all on social media talking a whole bunch of smack. And that's just what it is, smack. Getting smacked all upside the head, kicked and everything else, because it's smack. But you don't want to believe. It is you have the opportunity to know the truth. Set, make, and keep you free, but yet you fighting it hard. But you just don't want to believe that noble Drali is our prophet. Oh, people. Always have to be divine intervention. See, what we don't realize, when you talk about man, who is man? And when you deal with the prophet's teachings, when he says, your higher self, the higher self is the mother of virtue and the harmonies of life that brings justice, mercy, love, and right. Can the higher self pass away? No. Wow. Because what? It is Allah in man. Duality, yo. In man. Think about it. So anyway, our prophet has given us the solution. But the question is you. What are you going to do? This man is sitting around planning how to continue to strip us of our rights. And the reason why he's planning and sitting around, because he know you don't know about this law. And the reason why he know you don't know about it, because he's only taught you what he wanted you to know. So whatever you try to do, how to do it, when to do it, he's in control of it. He's still in control. Because he's making you think he is the law. The question is, what kind of law is he? Is he high or is he low? We high and he's low. But we got to show the divinity of us in our words, works, and deeds. to bring home this truth. So I'm going to leave you all with that. Okay, Mo, let's go to the first question. I'm looking at the time.
Islam National Grand. Our first question reads, what should/can be done to stop the brands Moorish Americans have applied to them in the mass media? Islam?
Islam, thank you, Mo. Well, I have to acknowledge the sisters, Alyssa, how they, Dr. Sheik Roy Bay, Sheik Orton Bay, Brother Main Street, Great Bay 44, and Brother Marquise Johnson Bay. They're the ones who spoke this evening. And everything that they said, Moses, I trust that y'all took an ear to really hear what they were saying. Now, law governs all events, no doubt about it. The seen as well as the unseen. This is the unseen. And I want to get y'all to really chime into what Brother Marquise Johnson Bay said about what is available to us. See, in any relationship, whether it's government, business, or personal, the key word is communication. Now check this out. See, back during the Prophet's time, we had the Moorish guide. And if I can remember, I was informed that the editor of the Moorish guide was Turnhill. I remember it was F. Turnhill or his dad, Edward. But see, we had to get more familiar with getting to start reading and understanding what we're reading. And the reason why I'm emphasizing Brother Marquise Johnson Bay, what his demonstration was about, what we need to do, which he has available for us, that's an open door. You need to take time and look at the platform that's being presented. And look at what he said that's available for us. Now, if you really want to get things going, he's giving you a platform for the truth to be known. Really. He's giving you the ways and means, and I know there's others who have other components like that we all can galvanize around ourselves and bring it home. Because, see, it's on us to wake the people up. Even our brothers and sisters out in that world, they don't know what we know. And these other Moorish factions, they don't know what we know. They really don't. They're doing the best they can with what they have. But we got the it to all. We do. And so, with the platform that the brother is talking about, will establish us the ways and means to nullify the falsehoods that's out there through communication. Check it. See, we have to look at how they see us and definitely how they hear us. When they see us, what do they see? And as we know, the man that controls your habits controls everything. So everything that we utilize in this man's society, he's in control of. As was stated earlier by the brothers and sisters, the dress, our verbiage to each other, the music, what's being taught, health, housing, employment, all of these things is orchestrated according to a lie. And it affects us greatly, more so than others, because of what? How we classified and identified. As long as we're classified and identified the way it is on paper, they got us. And so many Moors taking this route, using this process, but we still marking time. Because if you have a law that frees you, then you must use the laws that free you from this man's yoke. You can't get free under the laws of his house, but yet he's in ours. Was we allowed him to come in, he studied us, watched us, then he flipped us. So we got to be the flam flipping it. We were already there. The prophet did that. He took it all back. That's why he said it's going to take you 50 years to know what I did. Y'all don't even know he's been here. We don't know what he did. He's told us that there's a misunderstanding amongst the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America because they don't know what the movement is dedicated to. And you see it on social media. Oh, there ain't no nationalization. There ain't no divine. You know, the Moors are battling each other trying to find a spotlight that has some type of, I guess you can say, how we do. We want to Photoshop, you know, to put ourselves in a position so people can say, oh, he know this and he know that. Okay, well, if you know this or that, then get us out of this mess. It's only going to take the Lord that's going to get us out of this mess. It's not what I say. It's not what you say. It's what the Lord says. Lincoln said that he can accept new views as long as they're new. He said he can accept new views as long as they're true views. So we're dealing with the truth. So let's stand on the truth. Whether you say understand, overstand, understand, the purpose is standing. You standing on a foundation of truth. However you want to bring it in. Inner, outer, over, under is still to stand. So how are you going to stand? Are you going to stand straight and tall? Or are you going to be bent over? You know, you can tell when a person walks, standing tall, something about that. But so many of us walking and we crouching like. We don't know what it means to stand tall. But we got the remedy, people. We do. We need to get away from the ego, easing God out. We need to stop doing that. Open the door and let Allah in. He's already there. But you don't want to bring him out in you. Shame on us. Shame on us. So, anyway, y'all, there's not too much more I can say about it because the brothers and sisters has already touched upon this. They spoke to the wheel. I'm just bringing my spokes, so now we coming together. The hub of the wheel is Noble Juali. The wheel is Allah. You know, every time I say Allah, I just get such a great feeling all through every fiber of my body. Truly. It's a good feeling. Allah. 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 Something to that, y'all. A vibration of truth and love. Yeah, oh my God, it's there. So anyway, it's on us, Mose. It's really on us. And we have to be seen in a better light. Yes, we do. So the brothers and sisters have given us a vision. If you say it's a light, this one says it's a light, that person says it's a light, then it's a light. But if one says it's not a light, we're going to have a problem. And that's what's happening to us as we speak. Everybody don't see the light. And basically when you get there like that, they don't have that gift from Allah of understanding to see that light. So that's why we got to be patient with one another to help us, brothers and sisters, to bring forth the light. Your love to each other. Really. Our ancestors are there for us. Really, they are. Seriously. We don't know the power that we have and what we speak. Everything is a vibration. Everything. So when you're high in thought, it's saturating the planet. It's emanating everywhere. And even when you're negative, it's out there. Why do you think when you're on a high road of thought, you can connect with people that's also there? We on a high road, those are down on a low road, but we up high. And see, we want to come together whether we like it or not, because Allah have all of this. The seven eyes of Allah is on everything. There's no escaping this examination. We all being tested, y'all. And we're truly living in prophecy. Really. And yet, we don't know the importance of the role that each and every one of us has to play. We don't understand the role that we must give our children to fulfill what is written. The guidance of the nation is coming out that Sunday school. Our children. Now, we are children of mine. But the lessons of Allah through our prophet will keep us high. It's our salvation. Allah, through his prophet, has redeemed us from all of what you see, what you hear, and what has been done. But you don't believe it. So in order for us to see how things are going to pan out, read your past. I said on occasion, the first 5 books of the Bible, the Old Testament, that's your history here in the West. Everything happened here in this West. Read it. Now you can connect because you know you. See what happened. Then you go into Revelations. Read that 5th chapter. Tying you back into the book of the 7 seals, which is that circle 7. Because we represent the Lamb, y'all. See what Allah has put in position for us, that Lamb. See how things are going to pan out when we do right, because we have turned from the north to what is right. Lord guide us as long as you have Allah and your love to each other. Well, I'm ending, Mo, but I'm ending with a good note. I'm all right, because I know you all are all right, because Allah is in all of us. Islam. Thank you, Mo. Peace.
Islam. And thank you for summarizing our call, our National Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, is none other than National Grand Sheik Joel Bratton Bay. Appreciate you much, National Grand, for all you have done, will do, and haven't done yet, and what you continue to do. And thank you always. Love you much.
Thank you, Mo, and the family, and everyone else on this call. Thank you all. Thank you. Peace.
Islam. Well, my good people, it's about that time. We have a total of 36 lines on the call, but you can catch us back here next week's creation, same time, same space. But at this time, we're going to begin to close the way we open. So can I please have everyone who is able to stand erect, facing towards the east, heels together, toes apart, separated at a 45-degree angle, upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular, 5 fingers erect and together on the left, and 2 fingers erect and together on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Trusting everyone has a safe rest of the week. Keep safe, stay sane. Until next Sunday's creation, much love and peace, peace, peace.